party people, welcome to another weird little video. Thank you so much for clicking. Thank you for subscribing if you do. If you don't, you should, just saying. In my last video, I gave you guys the rundown on my top 5 favorite Game of Thrones characters. And since that video, the finale has aired. Emotions have been running high. I feel like my life is different. My life has changed. I'm a different person. I don't really know what this whole life is about at this point. So I just want to keep talking about Game of Thrones as long as I possibly can. So join me. I want to kind of give you guys the rundown on who my 5 least favorite Game of Thrones characters are. And there are a few disclaimers I need to throw out there before I can really get started, because it's like, it's Game of Thrones. If you watched my video where I talked about my top 5, I mentioned how it's like Game of Thrones is like a family member. And not only that, like each individual character in Game of Thrones is like a family member. So even like the worst people, I still like love, and they're all so important. So it was really hard to come up with 5 that I really don't like. So some of these people I really don't like. Some of them I just think maybe there were other characters in the show that were kind of similar that were better. So sucks to be them. And yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of a weird, maybe unpopular opinion filled video, but join me. Let's do this. 5 worst Game of Thrones characters. Ready, set, go. Okay, so number 5 is a character that I think in the books is totally different, but in the show was incredibly disappointing, and that is Euron Greyjoy. I think in the books he's supposed to be this like really powerful, evil sort of entity, you know, sort of the likes of Joffrey, the Boltons, etc. But in the show he's just like, it's not that he's like poorly acted, it's just that like, honestly, it's like all wardrobe. Like, put a different outfit on this guy and I think that he would have like read a lot better for me. I don't mind his like pirate attitude, like I get it. I'm here for it. But he was just kind of like disappointing, and for him to like really play kind of an important role there at the end where he was sort of a pawn for Cersei, and he just could have been more developed. And I understand that that probably would have gone differently if they had a little bit more time in the show, but they wanted to wrap it up. I get it, but I was just disappointed by him, especially after learning that in the books he was totally different. So that's my number 5, Euron Greyjoy. Also kind of looks like a little bit of a Joshua Jackson Pacey moment. Can we talk about that? Number 4 is a character who I really like, but who, again, disappointed me in many ways, and that is Melisandre. Melisandre, I really enjoyed watching. I think that she obviously had her hands in so much in the show, but man, like, could you just, like, be better at, like, reading the flames? I think that I'm just disappointed because I feel like I could have gotten so much more into that kind of character. Like, she's like one of the only like red witches that we know, and she just sucks at it, and she kills Shireen, and man, I just am a little bit bored of that whole like mad witch thing where it's like, you know, this witch who just knows that there's some truth out there that she's seen in the prophecy, but she doesn't really understand it, but she's doing all this crazy destructive stuff to see it happen. And that's just like, that's kind of fun and cool, but at the same time, just like figure it out. Just be a better witch, you know? Super hot though. Mad props. Pretty hot for an old lady. Number 3 I'm gonna say is the Waif. The Waif, if you'll recall, was like Jaqen H'ghar's like lackey in Bravos. I don't know if lackey's the right word, but basically she beat Arya into submission, I guess, until Arya figured out that she was no one. I don't know. I feel like it's another character that just sort of like could have been more interesting. Like, I know that we sort of heard about her backstory, but it's assumed that she's lying because she's no one. And it's just a little bit too abstract for me, honestly. Like, I get it. And it's super important that Arya learned how to be no one and she became this great fighter and this faceless person and whatnot. But, like, did she? Like, because she never really was faceless. Did she just trick the many-face god? Like, I don't know. That whole storyline was just a little bit like... She didn't even do that great of a job, like, sort of like serving the many-face god and following Jack and Hagar. Like, wasn't she supposed to give Arya like a merciful death and then she like stabbed her a billion times? I will say it's fun that they like got to like run through Bravos. Like, that was pretty cool, but like, I don't know. I feel like we knew Arya wasn't gonna die, and it was just sort of like, I don't know. It was a little bit of a Frodo Baggins plotline, you know what I mean? Like how in Lord of the Rings, like, obviously what Frodo's doing is important, but as long as we know it's happening, we don't really need to be there to follow him along, you know? Like, let's see what Legolas is up to. Let's go follow Aragorn, you know? My number 2 might be kind of an unpopular opinion because, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really done much research on who other people think are the worst characters from Game of Thrones, so I don't really know where everybody else is coming from. I think other people must be kind of similar to me. Like, it's kind of hard to determine, but a character that always really frustrated me and who I was just kind of disappointed by was Catelyn Stark. So yeah, Catelyn Stark is definitely my number 2. I feel like I wouldn't get along with her. We wouldn't be buds. She's like the kind of old lady, she's not even that old. She's the kind of lady that you like see at the grocery store and who like mean mugs you and like judges what's in your cart. I don't like that. It's none of your business. She just like, obviously, you know, she died earlier on at the Red Wedding, and I just don't think she would have made it any farther regardless. I mean, she was so, like, kind of irrational, and overly emotional, in the sense that, like, when Bran got tossed out the window and he was, like, in a coma or whatever, you know, she was, like, kind of insane. It's like, you're still the Lady of Winterfell, you still need to function. Like, I understand you're going through a crazy hard time, but, like, these are, like, desperate times. You can't just, like, break down and just fall silent and sit in a room forever. Like, you need to be doing your job. Like, I'm sorry that this happened to your family, but, like, bro. You know? And I never really understood why she, you know, was so relied on by Robb for, like, advice and whatnot, because she just wasn't very wise, I don't think. Like, obviously, she was right in the fact that Ned shouldn't have gone south. But anybody could have told him that, you know? And, I don't know. She just always kind of bugged me. And she was so mean to Jon Snow. That always kind of bothered me, though, with Ned, too. Because it's like, you really couldn't trust your wife enough to tell her that he was not his. Like, he wasn't a bastard. Like, Ned really couldn't tell his own wife. Number 1, this was an easy one for me because it's just a character who just, like, kind of was obnoxious and sucked and wasn't around for very long. And you're just able to kind of be like, screw that guy. It's kind of a meme at this point, but I'm going to say Ollie. Ollie is the worst character on the show. He just was such an angsty little, like, Harry Potter hormonal little kid. It was just so irritating to watch unfold. And, like, I think it was supposed to be more, like, sad for Jon and, like, more emotional. Like, he's losing this little, like, brother person. But, I don't know. I didn't care when he died. I didn't feel bad for Jon. Like, it's like, this kid was dumb. He deserved it. You know? Jon was trying to save everybody. You know? Like, I don't know, man. Ollie sucks. Like, I'm sorry that your parents got killed, but, like, everybody's parents are getting killed, you know? Doesn't mean you should be, like, a traitor. Like, what a little follower. Way to be, like, a little following SOB, Ollie. Maybe try having a little bit of honor. Ollie. You know? Ollie. My 2 honorable mentions are going to be, number 1, Joffrey Baratheon, who, while he's, like, a lot of fun to watch just because he's such a, like, Weasley evil little dude, he's just not, like, clever, and he's so, I don't know, weak. I mean, literally his, like, imp uncle, like, smacked him in the face multiple times, and he can't do anything about it, but he also, like, kills people for fun. Like, I don't know. He's just a weird character. But man, the outfits. And then also Ramsay Bolton, who, wow, a lot of the time Ramsay Bolton was really fun to watch, but when it comes to like the sexual violence and stuff like that, like I'm sort of out. That was not great. And you know, Joffrey's not very clever. Obviously Ramsay was like super clever and just an absolute psychopath, which was a lot of fun. So didn't quite make it on the list. They're not quite lame enough. But yeah, I hope you guys like this weird little video. Let me know in the comments, what did you guys think about the finale? I am so conflicted about it because, like I said in the last video, it's like Game of Thrones is like a family member. Like, honestly, I can be disappointed, but I'm still gonna love it. And that's the case. That's absolutely the case with the finale. It felt really bittersweet. I felt like in the last couple of episodes, like, fell in love with Jon Snow all over again. And, fell in love with that whole Stark dynamic all over again, which hasn't really been very strong since the first couple of seasons. And to have that so quickly, taken away was rough. But, I mean, they had to do it. I don't feel super butthurt about it. I'm not, like, you know, calling for anyone's head. It was fine. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank, you know, the Seven, the Drowned God, the Many-Faced God, the Lord of Light, for Game of Thrones. It is a magical blessing. As always, I love you and I would do anything for you. Follow me everywhere at Finley Tucker, and I'll see you guys in a few days with another new video. Bye.